Hello and welcome to this video. In this video we're going to be talking about volume of the 3D shapes. Here's the agenda. We're going to start with our objective, the big idea, go into the new material, and then try some practice problems. I'll leave y'all with some IXL to try on your own. Here's the objective. Students will find the volume of 3D shapes. So we're not talking about surface area anymore, we're talking about volume. But our big idea is still area in volume. Here are the 5 shapes that we're going to cover. The same 5 shapes from last time, but now we're talking about volume. And again, each one has its own formula. Here's a big idea. If you find the area of the base of a shape, then multiply it by the height, that will help you find its volume. But for a sphere, it has its own kind of unique formula that we're going to talk more about when we get to it. Let's start with prisms. So here's a formula for the volume of a prism. Now this B right here stands for base, and it's actually the area of the base. Not to be confused with the area of a triangle, which is 1/2 base times height. And this is a little b, it's a different b. This big B means area, okay? This little b is just a side length. So let's solve this question. We need to find this area right here, because that's the base, and then multiply it by this elongated side, which, although this shape is not facing up, this is technically the height. Okay, so let's find the area of the base. It's going to be the triangle, so we got 1/2 20 times 20, and then we need to multiply that by the height, which is 18. Altogether, that's going to give us 3600, and this is going to be in millimeters cubed. Cylinders are very similar. Because they're just like prisms with a circular bottom, it's got the same formula. Volume of equals the area of the base times the height. So the area of the base in this case is actually a circle, so it's going to be pi r squared times the height. Well, what's my r? I'm given 22, but that's the diameter, so r has to equal 11. So then I put it together, pi times 11 squared times h, which is 15. All that's going to equal 5,699.1, and that's going to be in yards cubed. Now for pyramids and cones, the volume, as it turns out, is exactly 1/3 of the volume of the corresponding prism or cylinder. So for a cone, it's 1/3 of the corresponding cylinder. For a pyramid, it's 1/3 of the corresponding prism. So let's solve each of the examples. We're going to do find the area of the base, multiply by the height, and then multiply by 1/3. So we'll do the first one. The first one's going to be 1/3. The area of the base is a square, so 18 times 18, then times the height, 19. All that's going to give us 2,052 millimeters cubed. All right, very similar process for the next one. 1/3 times the area of the base. Well, the base is a circle, so it's going to be pi r squared. This is 10, that's the diameter, so r is going to be half that. R is going to be 5. So pi times 5 squared, then all that times the height, 17. That's going to give me 444.83 inches cubed. Now for sphere, the volume formula is a bit different. Really the only thing we're interested in is r. So let's fill in to this formula. V equals 4/3 pi. We know r, it's going to be 7. And all that's going to give us 205.15 centimeters cubed. So not too bad. Now in IXL you're going to see some other questions kind of like this one. What if you're given the volume of the shape and are asked to find some other variable like the height or the side length? So you're going to use the same formulas, but you're going to solve for a different variable. So for each of these examples below, solve for the missing variable. So let's start with this one. We don't know h, so we need to find h, but we're given v. Now for a cylinder, the volume form is going to be v equals base times height. So we know v. I'm going to just write pi times 18 squared, because that would be the area of the top, times h, which is the height I'm trying to find, has to equal 9,156.24, because that was the volume that I was given. Now, this right here is just a number, so I can actually divide it on both sides. Pi times 18 squared. Now, this will cancel, and my h will come down, and h is going to equal whatever this equals. If you put that in your calculator, you should get 9 yards. So we know that the height has to be 9 yards. Remember to let pi equal 3.14 whenever you're doing IXL. Now what about this one? It tells us the volume is this, and it gives us the side length. You should notice that each of the sides are the same. And the formula for volume is going to be just base times height. My base is going to be d times d, which is just d squared. And then the height is also d. D squared times d is actually d cubed. So I know that d cubed has to equal 21,952. But how do you undo this cube? You actually got to do the opposite of a cube, which is the cube root. And that's like this. There is actually a button on your calculator for the cube root with a little 3. Put this in. You could also put this into your calculator, and you would get the same answer. You'll get 28 inches. So in other words, 28 times 28 times 28 has to equal 21,952. Alright, so that's it for this lesson. Here are the IXLs to do, T5, T6, and T7. If you need any help, send me an email or join me during my office hours on Zoom. Best of luck.